Hey, Nat.
Hiya, how are you? Look at this.
I know, we're together.
It's been a long time coming. It's so nice to see you.
It has. It's really cool to record this podcast today, actually being together as one.
We managed to get it to work, and we've got Katie with us as well. Finally, all the gang is back together.
Yay. Girly weekend for us. So perfect opportunity to record this podcast before we all get together and have some fun.
Did you hear what you nearly said then? Report.
Yeah.
Instead of record. It's seeping into your psyche.
What, the pause thing?
Yeah.
Repause.
Report.
Yeah, that could be a cool little expression for us, couldn't it? Do you think we're going to repause the podcast today?
Don't know about that.
Our own
but no,
language.
It's lovely to see you though. I'm looking forward to a weekend of us just catching up and hanging out and just being fun friends.
Yeah, me too. And we're chatting to our friend today, aren't we, Katie? One of our very dear friends who we've known for a long time, who is going to be in the second half of this podcast because Katie doesn't have any pets, and we're quite curious as to why, because we could see her as a dog mom or a cat mom, maybe. I know she has been a little bit afraid of pets in the past, but just really curious to understand why she's not as keen on pets as we are, because we obviously love our pets dearly, and we know that Katie maybe doesn't feel the same way. So although I think she's got a lot of love to give, just really curious to explore a little bit more with her, a perspective of someone who doesn't have pets and why that is, because she's a very caring person, and she's around animals a lot, and obviously she's never kind of shied away from Betty or anybody when she's been around me. And I mean, I think the last time she popped up to mine was probably when we had Roscoe, because she's been in Sweden for a long time. So this is another interesting angle because of her Swedish life, which I think she'll hopefully give us a little bit of insight into pet ownership over there as well. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what pet ownership is like it's in Stockholm, isn't it, that she lives in Sweden. So the Swedish dog mum and dog dad. Let's hear some more about that shortly. So, but how have you been? How are the pussycats?
Yeah, not too bad. They're all right. We're getting along great. I've talked before about their sort of pooey bum situation. That seems to have settled, actually, but I'm not totally happy. I'm going to try them on some new tinned food that's a bit more meat-based rather than being overly processed. They're currently on a food that the vets recommend. Lots of vets tend to recommend this brand particular, but we're going to try one that's a little bit more, I suppose, natural. And so hopefully that'll give them maybe some a bit different nutrients to the sort of processed stuff, and see how we get on. I don't think we're going to go full in. I think we're going to take it slowly because our cats are quite sensitive. So that's always a bit of an issue with us, and they're fussy. But we've tried them on this before and they liked it. So hopefully, and it's very similar to just giving them like a bit of chicken or a bit of tuna. So they should take to it. I'm just trying to get the flavourings right, because if you turn the nose up all the time to different things, it's really hard. But no, they're fine otherwise. We're going to go for vet checks, I think, next week, because I was a bit worried about Murray's tooth, because it's got a very big fang on one side. And it's quite funny and it looks quite cool. But I'm like, I don't know if it's bothering him. I can't tell because he's not displaying any this grimace scale. I might have mentioned it before. He's not displaying anything on his face. His ears aren't back. He's not kind of holding his face funny. And he's eating fine. He's eating his biscuits, but it looks overly pronounced to this one fang. So I keep calling him One Fang.
Not Count Dracula then. Is it like that?
No,
I suppose you'd have to have two fangs to be Count Dracula.
He has got two fangs, but this one is very big. So I'm just going to get it checked. Yeah, this one's hanging out a lot. So I'm just going to get him checked. And then Weaver needs to get checked because she's going to be either getting a new prescription for her neurological pain, and whether that's actually working or not. So that's a conversation I can bring back another time, but we just need to get her checked over and see whether we're going to get new tablets or stop them. So we'll see.
Yeah, but it's good just to have that peace of mind, isn't it? And that's something I don't know if I've asked you this before, because you've been a veggie for a long time and you're obviously kind of up in the meat intake for the pussycats, and how you feel about that. Do you sort of distance yourself from the idea that you're feeding your cats all this meat, and you yourself wouldn't touch it? Yeah.
Good question. Sorry. Yeah. Do you know what? I've not thought about it enough or too much, because it's a bit like fingers in the ears a little bit, because I do need them to, I would prefer them to have real meat. But obviously, if my husband eats meat and if he has it, I want him to get the most organic, the most type. If it's chicken, it's got to be outdoor bred. If it's pigs, it's got to be outdoor bred. It's got to be RSPCA assured. It's got to have all these stamps and well-being elements to it. And I don't do that with cat food. Although if it does say that on the tins, I'm a lot more drawn to it and will particularly pick one out that is that. I haven't looked into this brand that I'm currently considering for them that deeply. It is hard because, making that choice on cat food for the cats, I don't think there's that much of a range. And then, you end up paying more and getting in a whole price problem. But there's no way I would have my cats be vegetarians. I don't think that's the right way to go. That's just my personal opinion. I know some people do take their animals down that kind of route, but I just don't think that's the right thing. But I want to be, I want the meat that they're having to be ethical, and the animals that are sacrificing their lives for my cats to have a decent life before that happens. But there is a bit of a kind of ignorance around that for me at the minute, which I need to probably work out.
Yeah.
What about you? Because you're the same, I suppose, with Betty.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, because I eat less and less meat these days. But like you, I want Betty to have the right food and to have nutritious food, but also, to be a bit more mindful of the meat that she is eating. And at one point we were trying her on a raw food diet, and it's from a small company who works with very small farms, and there's a lot of ethical checks on their meat as well. Yeah, it's a difficult one, but I agree. I think, I mean, I'd love to go on.
No, I think we could be quite privileged in that position where we've got that choice potentially to pay more for that type of meat. And maybe there's a bit of pressure on the pet industry to make sure that the animals that they get for meat produce, cat and dog feed is also ethically sourced. I don't know what that looks like. That would be a good one to look into.
Yeah, and also maybe we could interview someone in time to come who does feed their dog or cat. Well, probably more dogs, actually, a veggie or vegan diet. I'm not sure it is possible to do that for a cat.
No.
But I think dogs, it's passable for dogs, but I'm not sure about cats.
Yeah. I don't know much about it.
No, so let's park that topic then and think of
and
that
I know,
to
Sash,
talk about.
But before we quickly move on, I know you you're doing a nutrition course, so it'd be good for you to share some of your insights at some point as well on what you're learning, so we can bring that back at some stage. But we will cover all of these topics over the coming months, years, who knows?
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll
as long as we're around.
Yeah, as long as we'll be at it. I mean, what I have learned in my nutrition course, because it does include dogs and cats, is that cats are what they call obligate carnivores. Meaning that they do require nutrients found primarily in animal products. So a vegan diet is generally not suitable without careful supplementation. So that is something that we've learned, that dogs are a bit different. So
interesting. Well, that's good to know. Yeah,
good to know.
Okay, and you have had Betty. Have you got an update on her because of the neurological test that she had?
Yes, so we had the appointment with the neurologist, which was good. That was this week. It's very thorough, actually. She was in with them for nearly 2 hours. So at one point I thought, are they actually doing the MRI now? And they haven't told me, because that is one of the options. And I thought, what are they doing for 2 hours? So I took comfort in the fact that they were giving her a thorough assessment. But the long and short of it is that without doing an MRI, which would be able to diagnose, there's sort of 3 possible things, or maybe 4 actually, that could be causing her the problems. The first one is the one that we've talked about before in this podcast, which is the myelopathy. And just as a quick recap for anyone who hasn't listened to the podcast, that myelopathy in pugs basically causes hind limb weakness, and it's characterized by a fluid-filled pocket developing on the outside of the spinal cord, compressing the spinal cord and causing neurological signs. I mean, it's not fully understood, to be fair, but I think, that is, there's a high risk that it could be that. The other thing that it could be, because like I say, she's been having problems with her back leg. She's very wobbly. She struggles to stand easily, and she's not as mobile as she used to be. So the other potential reason for that is what they call arachnoid diverticulum. AD in dogs. There's some quite long technical words here. I don't know if I'm quite pronouncing them right. But that's also characterized by fluid-filled pouches, which also leads to spinal cord compression. And to be fair, the three things that he did describe, he said it's very likely that she has spinal cord compression.
Okay.
We just don't know what's causing it without the MRI. And then the other thing is what they call IVDD, which is intervertebral disc disease. I did know, I have a friend who has a Frenchie who was struggling with that. And that's when the intervertebral discs, which usually act as cushions between the vertebra and a dog's spine, either bulge or rupture. And the thing is, though, when I went to see the vet, he didn't think it was IVDD because Betty wasn't really showing signs of any discomfort, whereas dogs with IVDD do sometimes have that discomfort, not always, because the neurologist did assure me that Betty's not in any particular pain, which is good to know.
Yeah,
the other thing that
good.
he said it could be, but it's a bit rarer, more unlikely, is cancer. But we didn't spend too much time talking about that because he was focused more on the other three things. You know, when you think about her age, that she's nearly 12, as a pug, she's put a little bit of weight on since she had, or since last summer when we got her weight down, when she was having her teeth removed because she needed to lose a bit of weight for surgery. And we did get it down, but the fact is she was a lot more mobile then, so she was exercising a lot more. So it's quite hard to actually get the weight down at the moment because she's not exercising. And so because of her age, because of her weight, and also the risk that if you do operate, it's quite an intricate operation, it's quite a delicate area, the spine, that it could make things worse. And so I'm a bit like, I'm not sure it's worth it. And the neurologist kind of said it's better to be more conservative. And the only kind of benefit of doing the MRI would be to diagnose for definite. And interestingly, he said she could have a combination of all three things. She could just have one, but it could be all three, which makes things even more complicated. So,
it's hard.
For the moment, it is really hard because I want to do the right thing. I took her to see the neurologist, which I think was, it was the right thing because, I couldn't think, I hate the idea of her suffering.
Yeah.
So I wanted just to see what they had to say. And
are they now saying to you the gabapentin, I think she was on, wasn't she? She's still on that, and that's the kind of pain relief is enough for now, and the physio?
They gave me the gabapentin, but I haven't actually tried it because she was on a different pain relief called Rumicam. And he actually said because what he thinks she has isn't painful, she doesn't need to be on it. But we didn't talk about the possible arthritis that she also may have because of her age. And I think the Rumicam does help with that. So I'm going to wait for his report to come through on email where I can just digest everything and then probably go back to my vets and say, right, from a pain relief perspective, should she continue or should we take her off it? He did say that the physio is a good thing to be doing. So I'm going to continue with that for now. But yeah, my husband's been away recently, so he wasn't in the appointment with me. So I want to have a debrief with him and see what he thinks as well. And yeah, I don't know, it's quite stressful,
so
but it's hard. It's hard.
It's hard to know what to do because I'm the same with Weaver. That if anyone heard, I don't know, they might not have heard the last few episodes, but she was having gabapentin for a potential spondylosis, which was this bone spur that could be causing a nerve problem and giving her pain, and a bit of lameness as well, because that did kind of cause the problems in her back legs. But we're on such a low dosage, and we've had mixed opinions that some vets say it's like below the therapeutic benefit. So she's actually it's not making a difference the amount we're giving her because she's been on this low dose for so long and had no symptoms. I'm like, well, should we take her off then? But I'm also nervous because actually another vet was saying, yes, keep her on the low dose and that'll be fine. And I'm like, I don't really know what we're doing. I don't know what's working, what isn't working, what problems she's got, what we're actually treating her for. It's so complicated when there's things going on and you can't, I don't know, the conversations I'm having with vets are kind of like, not consistent, so it's hard to know.
Yeah, you don't really kind of come to a sort of conclusion where you know for definite either way. So I think we've talked about this, haven't we? Yeah, the frustration of sort of bit of trial and error.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But yeah, it's a pretty funny old week anyway, because as you know, I am now a temporary foster mom to two lovely little chihuahuas who I have known for some time. They've been in my life for a while, but their mom passed away, a dear friend of mine, which I'm not going to talk about today. I think that we can leave that for another time. But they are now in my care, and I know,
oh my God,
met them.
They are the most gorgeous things. I cannot believe it. So I'm not like a massive dog lover. I can be a little bit kind of like standoffish around dogs. But I immediately was drawn to these two. I never thought I'd like a chihuahua because they just feel so small to me. I like big dogs. But they were the sweetest little things. I've never wanted anything more. I just wanted to pick it up and cuddle it. So cute.
I know.
Little
Well, they really liked you. Yeah, they loved cuddling up to you, didn't they? But yeah, I mean, they're as you can see, they're snuggled in their basket right now. They love love. They love sleeping. They just love chill time. I mean, I have felt a little bit guilty this week because I have been cuddling them a lot, and just because they've lost their mom, so yeah, they're very cuddlesome, but I do feel a bit guilty that I've probably not been giving Betty as much attention. I was thinking, is this what people feel like when they have their second child, or they have more than one child? That the one child you've had has been used to getting all the attention, and then another one comes along, and it's like, hang on a minute, you're not giving me love. Yeah, so I'm trying to spread the love between all three, but there's only so much of me to go around.
There is.
Now my husband is back from his holiday. I probably need to give him some love as well. I do need to give him some love as well. So it's not all about the dogs. But yeah, so I will tell you more about these lovely chihuahuas in another
They're
episode.
Super sweet.
But
they are the sweetest thing. They're like, for anyone who likes cats more, they totally reminded me of cats because you could just pick them up and cuddle them and they'd like stay on your lap and just stay there for ages. So gorgeous.
They just don't purr, do they? But they are very much like cats or little kittens. They're very small and delicate. They're like little beauties. But anyway, we better not keep our friend Katie waiting any longer because we know she is itching to speak to us. So in today's episode, we've invited our dear friend Katie along to have a chat to us about pet ownership, or more of lack of pet ownership, because Katie, I don't think, has ever been a dog mom or a cat mom, I don't believe. And we want to persuade her otherwise and get her thinking about the brilliance that is pets and pet ownership. And yeah, to learn a little bit more about why Katie's never really had a pet. So Katie, we've known you for a long time, since we were at school together, but our listeners don't know you. So tell them a bit about you. Who is Katie?
Yes, hello. I'm excited to be here, actually. I feel very privileged to be your second guest and to be here in the flesh. I believe that's a first.
It is.
A bit about me. Well, it's not that exciting. Obviously, I went to school with you two. And I now, my job took me to Sweden. So I now live and work in Stockholm. I'm married to a Swede. I have a young family. I have 2 children under the age of 10. They're 8 and 4. Yeah, that's it pretty much. Nothing too exciting or revolutionary, I'm afraid. Yeah.
No, but it's exciting to be living in Stockholm, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a beautiful city. And on behalf of the Stockholm Tourist Board, I can urge everybody to go and visit. It's really lovely.
I've been to visit you once and was really impressed with Stockholm. So, yeah.
And it's very pet friendly, I should say. Children friendly too, but very pet friendly. Yeah.
That's what we like to hear.
Is it quite progressive over there then, Kate, with dog and cat ownership?
Yeah, I'd say Swedes are very pet friendly. I mean, all our neighbours have dogs, actually. It's probably the same as in Britain, particularly since COVID, I think, when everyone was working from home more. I think pet ownership really took off. So, and our one of our neighbours is our immediate neighbour. She is a vet, actually, so she's always had pets. So, yeah.
So you are the only person on your street then that doesn't have a pet?
Not on the streets, but our immediate neighbours, let's say there's 3 of them, and
Okay.
we're the 4th in a little cube, if you can imagine. They all have dogs. Yeah, we're surrounded by dogs. And my husband, the Swede, is a dog lover. He grew up with dogs, actually. So,
There is someone in your family, yeah, that does love dogs.
yeah. And I'm always so disappointed when I come to visit you, Sasha, on my own without him because he's such a dog lover. And when I come to someone's house who has dogs, and I'm never around pets. I wasn't brought up with pets, like you said. So I don't really, it's not a natural instinct to me. Whereas he is just a natural with animals in general, I'd say. Yeah. So I always feel really bad that I'm not that natural with dogs or cats.
So have you ever had any pets then growing up? Never?
No,
No.
no. So
What
my
was the
parents
reason?
were teachers. Yeah, they were teachers before they retired. And I just remember, I don't think we've ever really pushed for pets, but I remember my dad saying they didn't think it would be fair on the animal because you can't really work from home as a teacher. So we were out all day, so how can you kind of bring a pet into that environment? And we never really pushed. And so I've never been around pets ever.
I just
Yeah.
couldn't imagine that. It's crazy to me, someone who grew up surrounded by them, to know someone who never did. But yeah, I mean, there's of course nothing wrong with that. But yeah.
I'm some sort of anti-pet freak.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's judgment obviously about sometimes, the stereotype of the crazy cat lady or the crazy dog lady, but I've never heard the crazy non-dog.
But it is interesting
Not.
because both me and my sister, I have an older sister, and obviously we're brought up the same way, and we've never had a pet. But she has really grown into being an animal lover as she's got older, and she has cats. And my auntie as well, my dad's sister, was a dog lover, huge dog lover, and she had dogs the whole time I can remember growing up. And she had standard poodle. So if you say a poodle, people think of like a tiny little thing. No, she had the big poodles. But to me, they were always quite scary. They really jumped up. They weren't gentle. They were full of energy. Poodles, if you know anything about poodles, and I know very little, but they were full of energy. They're bouncy dogs, really energetic. So I was always a little bit terrified. And I remember going to visit her sitting in a chair, and she would give me an empty tin of like Quality Streets, and she would have filled it with dried peas. This is true. And I would sit in the chair, and if a dog came near me, I would shake the tin and they'd go away
Oh,
again.
oh, they.
She'd give it to me because she knew, I guess, that they were bouncy dogs and that I wasn't used to being around pets. So, yeah, and I was a little bit nervous and scared of them. So I feel like I've not had much pet exposure, put it that way. And then I guess when I did, it was really big, bouncy dogs, which to a younger child perhaps is a little bit scary. I don't know.
Would you like more exposure now? Could we convince
Well,
you to get a rescue dog or cat in Sweden?
I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to think about any pet experiences I had growing up, and like my neighbour, she had a red setter, and again Tessa, she was called, and I remember being terrified of Tessa. Again, she was quite a energetic dog, and I remember climbing the climbing frame in her back garden and not coming down because Tessa was there barking. And so for me, that was the kind of exposure. And our other neighbour had 3 Dobermans, which are really big dogs, and he had a sign on his gate saying "Beware." And again, you'd see him walking down the road with 3 big dogs, and I would cross the streets. So that was the only kind of pet exposure I had until my sister had a cat. Yeah. So coming here and seeing you with your lovely, gentle dogs. It's not something I'm used to. And you saw my reaction, Sasha, when I came in and Betty came over and sort of woofed at me. I jumped out of my skin. Yeah. I think it's both. I think I have a little bit of fear because of lack of exposure. and I'm just not used to it. Whereas, as I said, my husband, he's so hands-on and just immediately knows what to do and knows like to let a dog sniff you. And I don't know any of that. And I worry because I see it in my children. They're a bit scared of dogs. And we've even spoken, my husband's, his sisters both have dogs. And one of them in particular has an old brown Labrador. She's really gentle. She's quite old now. And his mum suggested, why don't you take a lab for a walk with the kids? Just be there whilst you're walking the dog, because it will be really good for the kids. Because I don't want my kids to be scared of dogs. So that definitely comes from me. I think that fear, because we're just not exposed. We're not around dogs at all.
And do you think
Yeah.
they've just picked up on your body language when you were around
Yeah,
dogs?
maybe.
Yeah, like
May
how do you think they've learnt that behaviour or that feeling of fear?
I don't know. I mean, we're never really around dogs. And you feel bad because when you're in situations where people are there with their pets, if you go to someone's house and they know you're there with young children, they will go out of their way to kind of not lock the animal away, but move them to a different room, maybe put a gate across so the dog can't get to you. And you feel really bad that they're having to kind of adapt their lifestyle or their environment to accommodate you. You do feel bad, yeah. So I
Yeah.
think we just don't have that exposure actually. So I think going for a walk with a nice gentle dog is a good start. And as I said, my sister, she's had cats the past few years, lovely, gentle cats. Plus, I am a bit allergic. I am a bit
Yes.
allergic
Yes,
to
you are,
fur.
aren't you? Have you taken an antihistamine then while you're visiting me this
No,
weekend?
dog dogs aren't as bad.
Ah.
Cats are really bad, and horses.
So tell us about your sister's cat. So you're obviously an auntie to this lovely little cat. Tell us more about
I
the
am,
cat.
yeah, Peggy, or Peggy,
Peggy.
Peggy
Yeah.
Pussycat, as my children call her. Yeah, she's a lovely, gentle little thing. And because she lives in a different city in a different country, I actually don't know her as well as I would like to. But she's a big part of my sister's life, and she's a lovely, gentle cat. And from what I understand, that she's the most loving of all of the cats that my sisters had. So my sister, her first cat was a rescue, and since then she's kind of made a point of making sure that she does the whole adopt, don't shop thing.
No, that's
Yeah,
nice.
so yeah.
Yeah, no, good good principle to have there. Um, and just I always remember growing up that you had a bit of a phobia about fish. Tell us about that. Do you still feel the same way? I'm trying to remember
I
what it was
do,
about.
I do. I feel like I'm listening, I'm hearing these questions, and I sound like some sort of anti-pet freak.
No, that's why
I
we're
do.
chatting to you because we're really intrigued.
Gosh, I am seeing myself through someone else's eyes. I thought I was perfectly normal until 5 minutes ago. Yeah, I do have a phobia about fish, but not to go into the history of it, but it's more about the flapping. And I think the flapping thing is quite common. So it's fish out of water.
Okay.
The flapping around, it really is kind of, I don't like that at all, the gasping for breath thing. And also butterflies in a close proximity, and also pigeons and birds.
Oh,
I went to
pigeons.
Barcelona with my sister once. There were so many pigeons. She had to like shelter me from them. What's wrong with me? Yeah, it's the flapping. And actually, once I went to having young children, and my parents were visiting. We went to this lovely kind of what's the word for it? Fieras, it's called the Butterfly House in English, and it's a lovely place where you can go and see exotic butterflies and also fish. So trying to be a good parent, I was like, let's do some fun activities that everyone, gentle activities. And we went to a place full of butterflies flying around and then loads and loads of fish. So I was so glad my dad was there because he is really good with animals too. Yeah. Gave me a lot of anxiety. That's something
Yes,
else I need to work on.
it's a good job you don't have a husband who loves fishing.
He does love fishing though. He loves fishing. He absolutely loves it. Yeah. In the summer when he was growing up, summers in Sweden on the west coast, they would go out fishing. So he actually really loves fishing. And I've been out fishing with him in the summer before we had children. And the only reason he lured me out because it was such a lovely evening and you could see the fish jumping. and he told me that I might see a seal, which was
Oh,
the only reason he got me into the boat. So I sat at the front of the boat and he sat at the back with his parents, and they were fishing, and we did see a seal.
but did you see any fish flapping?
Yes, I did, and I think it was actually quite good for me to be there, like, because I couldn't remove myself from the situation. I
Right.
couldn't go anywhere, so I was forced to kind of confront my fear a little bit. Yeah.
Well, well done. Well done
I
for
actually think it
facing the
was
fear.
healthy. I think it was healthy, small progress. And my kids like going out fishing, so I haven't passed that weird phobia on to them, so that's something.
Oh, that's good. Just the dog thing, just the dog phobia.
It's not a phobia of dogs. I think it's just a lack of exposure,
Yeah, yeah,
actually.
fair enough. So if you were to welcome a lovely pet into your home now in Stockholm, what would it be and why?
It would be something very low maintenance. I've thought about this. I mean, at the moment, having children under the age of 10, it's a lot. So, you're juggling a lot. And
Yeah,
we know families that have dogs and they have kids and dogs. And I'm in awe. I don't know how they can do that, actually. I don't know. Because to me, that's like a whole new level of organization or chaos. And so it would have to be something very low maintenance. I was very taken by the hamster lady. So Laura, she was
yeah.
so good. I was even telling my husband all these hamster facts about hamsters shouldn't have a bent back. Who knew? And that they run loads in the wild. I found it very educational. It would be something very, very low maintenance. But I don't know again about going on holiday because I think if you have a pet, you have to be a responsible pet owner, don't you? So
Yeah,
yeah,
you
it would
do.
be
Yeah,
something very
indeed.
low maintenance. It wouldn't be a dog, not with all the toys on the floor and living in quite a small space.
Do you feel like it would be a good thing for your kids to be exposed to pets?
Yeah.
So you'd want to do it a little bit for them at some point in their lives?
I'm not get I'm not getting a pet now.
Come on.
Not now, but I do think it's good for my kids to be more exposed to pets or animals than they are actually. I do. But my daughter loves horses. Actually, she loves horses. She's quite cautious around them, but she goes horse riding. And again, it's my husband that takes the horse ride because I'm like, they don't need I don't know much about horses, but they don't need my nervous animal energy. So she loves horses. So yeah, the dog thing we need to work on. Yeah.
Yeah, because they do say animals pick up on that nervous energy, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. They're not
probably.
stupid.
Yeah, it's probably kind of a good thing in a way that you're not around them when your kids are, so that they don't pick up on that. But didn't you say in
Yeah.
Sweden a specific name or a
Oh,
special
yeah.
name for dog? Is it dog mom and dog dad in Swedish, or is
Yeah,
it
yeah,
what is it?
I don't know what the English equivalent would be. I guess dog mum and dog dad, but they have a specific name. So
Mm,
husse and matte. So a husse is a dog dad and a matte is a dog mum. And it's not nickname. It's as far as I know, they're not nicknames. They're actual names. You're the husse or you're the matte. So Sasha, you're the matte to Betty, for example. There's not one for cats, Natalie. I'm sorry.
okay. But you'd
But
find it in
yeah,
the Swedish dictionary then, would you?
I
Like you
don't
said.
know. I haven't ever opened the Swedish dictionary, but you could Google it and it's yeah. I'd have to double check with the expert, my husband, but yeah, it's a thing. Recognized names. Huster, Natter. Yeah. Dog mum,
I
dog
like
dog dad.
bit of ring to it, hasn't it?
I hope I haven't got them mixed up. Huster is the man and Matter is the woman, I
Okay.
think. Yeah. But I will say this because my husband loves dogs. And we do joke that if I leave this earth before him, he can get a load of dogs. And obviously, the Swedish winters are quite cold and snowy, so we joke that he'll have like a whole sled pulled by golden retrievers because they're his favourite dog. He grew up with Labradors and Goldens, but golden retrievers is absolute dream animal.
And don't you have wolves as well? Haven't you seen some paw prints from a wolf in your garden
Well,
one
I
winter?
thought it was a wolf, but it was
Okay,
just a dog.
a big
But
dog.
there was a wolf down the road. So this is true where my husband's family live very close by, which is really nice, about a 15-minute drive away. And their neighbour was walking their dogs early one morning, and we live in the suburbs of Stockholm. This isn't in the city, but still there's houses and there's like green spaces. He owns, I think they're two, maybe Cavalier Spaniels, and he went walking with them early one morning and maybe 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And on the other side was a wolf just standing there looking at the dogs, and the dogs were off the lead. And he went crazy, like calling the
Wow.
dogs back to him. You can imagine. So yeah, wolves are they've been reintroduced, I think, to Sweden, and they track them. They can track the wolves, so they know exactly where they are, etc. They keep close tabs on them. So yeah,
Wow, that's
they're getting
amazing.
brave. It's amazing. I don't
Yeah.
know. Again, you'd have to speak to a Swedish person who's more tuned in to it, I think, both sides of the argument. It is amazing, but it's also a little bit scary that they're coming quite close to
Yeah.
us humans, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like foxes in cities, isn't it? They're just not afraid anymore because they're used to being around humans.
Kate, what do you think of animals? Like, how do you perceive them? Do you kind of understand that they have little sort of personalities, and do you warm to them? Or is it quite very distant relationship?
No, I mean, I don't have any personal relationship to an animal, but I see how important they are in my friends' and family's lives. So, of course, I understand that animals have personalities and are so important. I do see that. I just don't have that. I've never had that personal connection. But, I don't have a heart made of stone. I can see. I mean, I'd like to think I'm a caring mother. So, I'm sure if I had any sort of pet or animal in my life, I'm sure I would care for it and love it.
I think you would, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
I
just
agree.
with small children, I couldn't cope at the moment. But as I said before, I do not know how families with dogs cope. And what do they do during holidays? I have so many questions.
That is an interesting topic, and maybe again one we can explore with somebody who's got a family as well as animals that they need to take care of. Because how do people juggle? Because I would struggle. I mean, kids need your entire attention, and then animals demand a lot of you. So how you do both of those together, you'd be just running off your feet.
Yeah, and the traveling, because you can't just be home all the time. People are allowed to go on holiday. So what do you do with the animal? I know dogs, perhaps you can travel with them. Is that the easiest one? I don't know. We know people who they're from Sweden, but they live in America now, and they came to Sweden for the summer, and their dog traveled with them because they were going to be here for a while. And their dog got stuck at quarantine at Stockholm airport purely because there wasn't the right paper signed or something. It was a really tiny clerical error, but they were so strict. And this poor dog got stuck at the airport for weeks. So I don't know how you easily travel with pets. And I think as a family or as anybody trying to live their life, you're allowed to take a break and go on holiday. So unless you take staycations, I think that's very difficult to juggle, actually.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think that's one of the reasons that we hear quite frequently is about, if you have a pet, people don't feel that they'd have the same freedoms as if they didn't. So, they can go off traveling easily. But there are kennels and there are pet hotels, and there's always family and friends. So, that if you ever needed anyone to look after your dog or cat in the future, if you do become a dog mom or a cat mom, that Natalie and I would be here for you, and we would help you take care of it. So yeah, really want to thank you for being so open with us, Katie. It's really interesting to hear from someone who doesn't have pets, just kind of, how they feel about it. And, we really appreciate you listening to all our podcasts so far. And maybe one day one of our podcasts will convince you just to get a pet.
I think, I think for me, it really made me think about exposing my children more to dogs or cats because I don't want them to be really cold to animals. I'm not sure that I am cold to animals, but I think I think it's important for them to be more exposed to dogs and more loving perhaps to pets than they are because they're never exposed to them.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad we've helped you think about that. And thanks for coming on this episode. It's been lovely to talk to you, and obviously lovely to hang out with you this weekend. Betty is always up for a cuddle. So thank you, Katie.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
All right.
Maybe you'll have me back in a couple of years and I'll be surrounded by dogs.
Yeah. You never know. We can only hope. But yeah, thank you. Let's chat in a few years' time and see where you're at.
Bye-bye. Hej då.
Bye, Katie. Thanks so much for coming. It's been great to kind of hear your side of the story and understand your point of view. Interesting one about balancing pets with family. So maybe we can get somebody in on that at some point. It'd be good. Thanks everybody for listening. That's the end of the Pause Between Us episode today. And look out for next week when we'll be talking to Nose to Trail, a award-winning pet behaviour service in Cheshire and Shropshire area, run by Rachel Rogers, a clinical animal behaviourist. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about some of the tips and techniques to looking after dogs and overcoming some behavioural problems. So that would be brilliant. So tune in next week. Like, subscribe, follow, messages on TikTok or on Insta, or you can email us at pausebetweenus@gmail.com if you have any comments or thoughts on the podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Bye for now. See you next week.